Look at this lovely Mickey Mouse. Do you wonder how Disney brought alive their charming cartoon characters? The book called The Illusion of Life Disney Animation has introduced 12 basic principles as a guideline for making animated characters. It can help the character communicate their personality and moods in a more convincing way. We will cover all 12 of them for you in this lecture. Let's first look at the animation principle called squash and stretch. This principle refers to the way we can animate objects to get longer or flatter in order to give them a sense of weight, speed, and momentum. One thing we need to keep in mind is that the overall volume of the object should stay consistent. As you can see in the scene, when the ball gets longer, it also gets narrower. When it gets flatter, it also gets wider. The amount of an object squash and stretch shows its material. The more squash and stretch, the softer the object. The less squash and stretch makes the object look stiffer. Then let's talk about the next animation principle, staging. This principle refers to the way we present a frame or an idea so it is completely and unmistakably understood by the audience. It is a very broad principle that we can apply through acting, setting, timing, and camera angle. The key point is that we want to be in full control of where the audience is looking at. The audience can only see one thing at a time, so here is an example of bad staging. Too many things happen at the same time in the same scene. The audience doesn't know which one to look at. If we want our audience to focus on the action and the surroundings, it is good to use a full shot, and a close-up shot is good for character expressions. The next animation principle is timing. This principle refers to the number of joints or frames for a given action. It translates to the pauses between actions and their speed. If we have a few frames set apart from each other in between two main poses, the action will be very fast. If we have many frames that are very close to each other, the action will be very slow. A simple action can have different meanings depending on how many frames it has. Also, correct timing makes the object appear to obey the laws of physics. For instance, an object's weight determines how it reacts to an impetus. Like a push in this example, a light-weighted object will react faster than a heavy one. Now let's talk about our first principle, anticipation. The principle is used when a character prepares for an action to give clues to the audience about what is going to happen next. It can direct the audience's attention by preparing the audience for actions so they know what to expect. A character can prepare their action by pointing their head and eyes to that direction and leading the audience to also look at that place. Also, anticipation can make the action appear more realistic. As we can see from the jumping example, before the character leaping into the air, he prepares this action by crouching down to build energy. Also, on the right, jumping without anticipation looks very unrealistic.
So, the next animation principle is called follow-through and overlapping action. This is a technique of having body parts and appendage drag behind the rest of the body and continue to move when the body stops, just like this hero's cloak. This technique gives the impression that the animation follows the law of physics, especially the principle of inertia. Follow-through, overlapping action, and drag are three different aspects of this animation principle. Follow-through refers to part of the body continue to move after the main body is stopped. Overlapping action describes the offset between the timing of the main body and the rest of other parts. Drag often means the delay of movement of the body part in relation to the main body. Applying this technique gives the object or character a great deal of realism and liveness. Now, let's take a break. In the next part, we will continue introducing the remaining 6 principles.